next item is 11B, the Port Master Plan Amendment PSD-DM-4009 for the Broadway Pier Cruise Ship Terminal. This is a request by the San Diego Unified Port District to, and could I have that? This is a request by the San Diego Unified Port District to amend the Port Master Plan to allow construction of a cruise ship terminal on Broadway Pier, which is the seaward extension of Broadway at its intersection with North Harbor Drive in downtown San Diego. And slide 1 shows the location of the cruise ship terminal on the pier. This is an existing building on the pier that will be demolished, and the cruise ship terminal will be constructed in its place. Could you go to the next slide, please? Or go back to the second slide. This again is at the intersection of North Harbor Drive and Broadway, and the East Street Pier and the cruise ship terminal is located to the north of the site, shown in slide 2. Next slide, please. And then the Navy Pier and the Midway Aircraft Carrier Museum is located to the south of the site. And the next slide, please. This slide is taken a little further inland at the corner of PCH and Broadway, and it shows the site to the right here is the location of the Lane Field proposal that will be 2 high-rise hotels and restaurant and retail recently approved by the commission. And then across the street across Broadway to the south, this is the Navy Broadway complex site. The Port District has processed the Port Master Plan Amendment as a de minimis amendment pursuant to Section 30716C of the Coastal Act. The Executive Director has concurred with the de minimis determination and is reporting that determination to the Commission for its concurrence. Unless 3 or more Commissioners disagree with the Executive Director's determination, the Port Master Plan Amendment will be approved. And could I have the next slide, please? This is the existing land use plan for Planning District 3, the center city of Barcadero, for the certified Port Master Plan. The port is not proposing any changes to the map or to the allowable uses for Broadway Pier, and those uses are shown. The designated uses are Marine Terminal, that's shown in the yellow, and Park Plaza, that's shown in the green on the slide. The proposed water uses on either side of the Broadway Pier are terminal berthing. The only change the port is proposing to the Port Master Plan is to add the following change to Table 11 project list, which currently contains a list of projects included in the Port Master Plan during the Commission's review of the North Embarcadero Redevelopment Port Master Plan Amendment number 27 in March of '01, and the project list is Exhibit 1 of the staff report. For the Broadway Pier, the project list indicates the Broadway Pier infrastructure improvements. That was all that was added with the North Embarcadero Port Master Plan Amendment. This port proposal would add Broadway Pier Cruise Ship Terminal, approximately 60,000 square feet, maximum 50-foot building height, to cover no more than 50% of the pier. Public event space, 15,000 square foot public recreational and viewing area, a 25-foot wide public access corridor along the southern side of the pier. The modernization of the existing cruise ship passenger terminal at the B Street Pier was included in the project list with the North Embarcadero Port Master Plan Amendment, but a terminal on the Broadway Pier was not contemplated at that time. The port has proposed no other change to the text or maps in the plan. The text currently states the Broadway Pier will continue to provide recreational space on its plaza and viewing platform, as well as accommodating commercial shipping and miscellaneous vessel berthing, including day cruisers. Improvements to the pier will include paving, planting, lighting, and furniture. The harbor excursion and ferry boat lease north of Broadway Pier may also remain as part of the recreational experience along the waterfront or move to another location along the Embarcadero. That's the text in the current land use plan. And can I have the slide 6, please? This is the Exhibit 8 that's in the addendum. This is also Exhibit A from the draft coastal development permit, and it shows the anticipated location of the terminal building. The public viewing area would be on the seaward side of the building, and the public access way would be on the southern portion of the building. The inland half of the site would be for a ground transportation area for passenger bus and shuttle drop-off, and no permanent parking is proposed on the pier. The port has indicated the Broadway Pier will be open to public use when the cruise ships are not present. And currently, the Broadway Pier is used as an auxiliary terminal, and the pier is closed to the public when the ships are present due to security. As a result of this project, there will be an increase in use of the Broadway Pier, primarily because it will become the main terminal while the new main terminal is being constructed on the adjacent B Street Pier. Both the Port Master Plan and the North Embarcadero Visionary Plan acknowledge interim use of the Broadway Pier for both terminal berthing and public access. And the North Embarcadero Visionary Plan was not incorporated into the Port Master Plan in its entirety, and it is not the legal standard of review. It was a companion effort through the coordination with the city, the county, the CCDC, the port, and the Navy, and was used as a basis for improvements proposed in the Port Master Plan number 27 for the North Embarcadero. Neither plan shows a cruise ship terminal on the Broadway Pier. Thus, a Port Master Plan amendment is required. The staff recommendation asks the Commission to concur with the Executive Director's determination and approve it as de minimis. This action would serve to formalize the historic and periodic use of the Broadway Pier for a port-related, visitor-serving, and coastal-dependent use. These are all high-priority uses on port tidelands. The project list does have the specificity that will assure that the park and plaza function will continue when the ships aren't present, with a public viewing area at the seaward end. And also, we should keep in mind that the number of cruise ship passengers that will be served by both the terminal and the park plaza when the ships are present. There are no other changes to the plan map, the land uses, or the project components, or the other project components proposed at this time. I want to draw your attention to the addendum. There are a number of letters of opposition. There's one in support. There's also letters attached to the staff report. Some of the letters are very strongly worded and challenging the idea that such a large development could be considered a de minimis Port Master Plan amendment. And the comments also suggest that construction of the cruise ship terminal on Broadway Pier will preclude the ability to provide the Broadway Landing Park. This is, could I have the next slide, please? This is again the land use plan from the port. And the Broadway Landing Park is here. It's a large oval-shaped park at the foot of Broadway, just inland of the pier. The public alleges that as part of the North Embarcadero Visionary Plan process, Broadway Pier was promised as a year-round park space to connect with the Broadway Landing Park to offset the impact of large-scale development inland of Harbor Drive. The North Embarcadero Visionary Plan describes the Broadway Landing Park as approximately 2 city blocks in size. Because of its one-sided configuration with buildings only to the east, the scale of the bay gives the space an expansive feeling. The plan states the park is located on the west side of North Harbor Drive and not divided by any streets. The North Embarcadero Visionary Plan specifically states the oval-shaped park does not affect significantly the berthing of large ships, and it does not disrupt the traffic patterns on North Harbor Drive and Broadway. On rare occasions, a drive at the western perimeter of the park could provide limited vehicular access to Broadway Pier to serve visiting ships. Vehicular access to the drive would be highly controlled, and parking, queuing, or staging activities on the drive would be prohibited. The drop-off and pickup of passengers by buses, taxis, and private vehicles would occur on Broadway Pier itself. So we can see why the members of the public are concerned that the cruise ship terminal is a significant change to the open space and the function of the pier and the park that was envisioned in the North Embarcadero Visionary Plan, which again is not the legal standard of review, but it also emphasizes why a port master plan amendment is necessary for the cruise ship terminal on Broadway Pier. And if the port knows that this project or other changes that have occurred in the area have or will affect the ability to construct the Broadway Landing Park in a size and configuration comparable to that envisioned in the North Embarcadero Visionary Plan or the Port Master Plan, it should be forthcoming in that and provide that information to the public and the Commission. I've asked the port representative to specifically address this point today, so you can see how it might affect your decision to approve the cruise ship terminal through this de minimis Port Master Plan amendment process. The port is currently considering a coast development permit for Phase 1 North Embarcadero access improvements and has circulated the initial study addendum to the Master EIR for the North Embarcadero Plan for comment. Any potential changes to the design or configuration of the Broadway Landing Park should be reviewed and considered as part of that effort. Your staff has sent comments and have requested additional information to determine if a Port Master Plan amendment would be required. At this point, our recommendation is based on the understanding that the construction of the cruise ship terminal will not preclude build-out of the North Embarcadero public access improvements as shown in the Certified Port Master Plan, because no changes are proposed to the plan map, the allowable uses, or the project list for that development. If changes are required, the cruise ship terminal should not be reviewed independent of those improvements. And that will conclude my comments at this time to allow the board to address these points.
All right, thank you, staff. Let me first ask if there are any ex parte communications from commissioners. Right? Commissioner Waisel?
Yes, I got a phone call yesterday from San Diego Mayor Jerry Sanders asking that I support the port recommendation for the shipping terminal. I also got an email. I only saw that it was addressed to me, so I want to disclose that there was an email from Christine Gaunt asking that we not support the project under the conditions that it would create a lot of passengers in a very tight area, and it would create additional traffic congestion that is not mitigated by the project.
All right, thank you. And my expertise are on file. We have two speakers, Mr. John Helmer from the Port of San Diego and Dan Wilkins, who I guess is just here to answer questions. Mr. Helmer, how much time would you like?
About 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
All right, that'd be great.
3 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay. I'm John Helmer. I'm the Port's Director of Land Use Planning. Also with me here today is Matt Valerio, Senior Redevelopment Planner for the Port, and Dan Wilkins, who's a consultant to the Port. Okay. The Broadway Pier was built in 1913. It was one of the few piers with deepwater berthing in San Diego Bay. It has been historically used since that time till today to berth cruise ships, military ships, industrial ships, visiting ships, excursion boats, and other types of vessels. This is from the 30s. That's the Broadway Pier in yellow there. Lane Field, when the actual Lane Field baseball field was present there, is right there in the middle of the picture. This is a picture from the 50s. The Broadway Pier, again, is in the middle, Navy Pier on the right, B Street Pier on the left. You can see cruise ship terminals there at that time as well. This is the Broadway Pier during the 70s. You can see the building, the large building that covered the entire pier, has been removed, replaced with the loading platform that Sherilyn described. There was parking there, and public access was allowed on cruise ship days on the pier. There were very few public amenities, but the public was allowed to go out and view the water from that area. This is a view of the Broadway Pier, again on the left, with the this is actually kind of an unusual picture. It has shows two cruise ships there, the B Street cruise ship terminals on the left side of the picture there. You can see in the foreground on the pier is a tent. That tent is used for passenger embarkation, debarkation, as well as border patrol and customs activities that occur there. The cruise ship terminal that was approved by the Board of Port Commissioners in 2007, as Sherilyn said, shows approximately a 55,000 square foot cruise ship terminal building with a public area on the bayward side that could be used for non-cruise ship days, as well as the transportation area in the foreground that was for loading and unloading of vehicles. And again, that area is going to be open to the public on non-cruise ship days, as well as you can see the 11,000 square foot section of the building. That was designed with roll-up garage type doors that could also be used for public events on non-cruise ship days as well. Sherilyn described the Port Master Plan land use map, both the water use, the industrial terminal berthing water uses, and the industrial marine terminal and use, and the Park Plaza use on the pier. And the de minimis amendment proposed, this is what it's going to look like on our Port Master Plan. We add the description of the cruise ship terminal as described by Sherilyn in our project list in the Center City Embarcadero planning area. That concludes my presentation. Do you have any other questions?
All right, not at this time, but thank you. Back to the staff. Did you have anything to add?
Only that, again, I was hoping that the port representative might address the impact of the construction of the cruise ship terminal on the ability to provide the public access improvements along North Embarcadero consistent with the Port Master Plan as approved. So if the commission has a similar question, they could ask the port.
Why don't we just ask that now while you're at the microphone? To give your name for the record again.
John Helmer, Port of San Diego. The public access improvements is a project in the Port Master Plan. It was proposed to go to our Board of Port Commissioners yesterday. It's been continued for at least another month. We are talking to your staff about some of those issues there, and I believe there's some design issues and some other understanding issues regarding the public access and provision of plazas. I might add some of those plazas are being, because the plaza was envisioned during the North Embarcadero Alliance stage where the Navy was a participant. Some of those other plaza issues are being accommodated in other ways, and we are discussing that with staff, and we believe we can have constructive and successful discussions about that
Right,
resolution.
Commissioner Juan?
You still haven't basically answered the question. It's a specific question. Will this cruise ship pier have an impact on the design or the use of the Broadway park over there? If the answer is no, that's fine.
Sure. I'm going to bring Dan Wilkins to the microphone here. He was actually here before this commission when the NEVP was looked at by the commission.
Thank you, John. I'm Dan Wilkins. I'm formerly the Executive Vice President of the Port of San Diego. I'm now helping them out on a couple of things, including this item. The direct answer to your question is I don't know that it's going to impact it directly, but I believe that there's going to be a different design solution. It's not going to be that oval, but there's going to be the requisite amount of open space. And I don't think that I can answer it any more specifically than that until we meet with your staff.
I have a question.
Commissioner Juan, go ahead.
Yeah, and I would ask staff at this point, because you made it very clear that if there was going to be an impact, you did not think it should be considered a de minimis amendment.
What I was suggesting is if the construction of the cruise ship terminal precludes the ability to construct a public access improvements that are comparable to what is envisioned in the Port Master Plan amendment, that should be specifically known.
If I may clarify, that is the intent of my comments, Commissioner Wong. It's just it's not going to be the same geometric shape. That's all.
Okay. Commissioner Wayso?
I also have some questions for port staff. Thank you, Mr. Wilkins, or whoever this is a transportation related question.
Sure.
Specifically ground transportation. I know this area is transportation intense. A lot of people come in and out of the area. We have the central trolley station there. But with regards to the passengers that are going to be disembarking from the ship, those are usually people that are visiting San Diego on a 1 or 2 day basis and are probably going to want to travel around the city. Has there been any plan to address ground transportation, like taxi cabs, or are we going to have any stands there for them? Or has there been any a direct plan or a concrete plan related to trolley taxis with this terminal? Because I know they have a stand at the shipping terminal. B Street Terminal has a small stand, and then they have a stand on Harbor Drive. What is going to happen with this terminal?
Commissioner West, commissioners, the ground transportation area, can we put that exhibit back up, please? Is intended, for cruise ship days where both the trucks and buses, many people arrive by bus. There will be some taxi locations. There won't be any full-time in the front there where it says 84,000 feet. There will be taxis available. As you might recall, on the Lanefield project, which we discussed at this commission, and you approved a coastal development permit for the Lanefield hotels, we're going to implement a waterfront shuttle system, which is going to have runs up and down Harbor Drive, including stops by the cruise ship terminal. So that we are thinking about.
So did you say affirmatively there will be a taxi stand?
There will be taxis in the ground transportation area. Yes,
It doesn't point to it in the map. I don't know where you're.
I'm sorry, where it says 84,000 square feet on the plan.
So in that green area, there'll be a taxi
Yes.
stand there? Okay. And will there be public restrooms in the area?
Yeah, there will be public restrooms that will be available, again, on non-cruise ship days.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Clark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The clarification made by the port answered my question. Thank you.
All right, any other comments from commissioners? Okay, so Commissioner Mason?
I move that the commission concur with the executive director's determination that the PMP amendment as submitted is de minimis. Recommending yes vote.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Waso, a second by Commissioner Clark. They're recommending a yes vote. Are there any objections to a unanimous roll call vote on this item? Seeing none, the commission concurs with the executive director's determination that the amendment is de minimis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank your staff for their hard work.